pays to be ignorant.
What happens when a racetrack gets flooded?
They pull the plugs out.
Pay the man $8.
It pays to be ignorant.
What happens when a wife makes bad coffee?
Her husband has grounds for divorce.
Pay the man $9 because...
It pays to be ignorant. Here he is, the star of our show, Mr. Tom Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Stark. And good evening, folks. It's 9 o'clock, which means it's time for that quiz program that makes you wonder if education is necessary. We have a board of experts who are so dumb they think a sponsor is the husband of a spinster. First, we have the celebrated author, Mr. Hy McNaughton, who's just written a book entitled They Were Married by Candlelight, but It Only Lasted a Wick. But here he is, Mr. Harry McNaughton.
Well, thank you. I have a poem, Mr. Howard.
Oh, I imagine.
It's about a stork.
A stork.
The stork is one of the mystics and inhabits a number of districts. It doesn't yield plumes or sing any tunes, but it helps out the vital statistics.
Very likely. I like that very much.
I have more.
But never mind, that was enough. Next, we have a woman who goes around lifting up manhole covers, expecting to find a man. A woman who reminds you of a switchboard. When she walks, all lines are busy. Here she is, Miss Lolo McConnell.
I was shopping today, Mr. Howard.
You were?
Yeah, I went to a hardware store to buy some pots and pans.
Uh-huh.
I said to the man, I see your pans are cheaper than they were yesterday.
Yeah.
He said, yep. You caught me with my pans down today.
That's nice, you know.
Next, we have a man who was so unpopular, even a revolving door won't go around with him. A man who, when he was 3 years old, his father took him down to the corner saloon and asked the bartender to put a head on him. Here he is, Mr. George Shelton.
You know, I was walking down the street today, Mr. Howard, and I found a $50.
Oh, you found $50?
Yeah, as soon as I picked it up, some guy come up to me and says, hey, that's my $50.
Well, that's been done.
I says, oh, yeah, who are you?
I see.
Well, he says, my name is on it. I says, what is your name? He says, Idplr.
On his $50.
You know, and I turned the $50 over, and sure enough, there was his name.
What?
Idplr.
Oh, I see. That's right. So you lost the $50.
No, I still... No, that's right, I lost it.
Well, you should have lost that gag, too.
Too.
Let's get on. Those are the experts, folks, so we'll get right on with the first question while you're looking around and choosing your nearest exit. Here's the question. Let's see if we can answer it. How many acres in a 50-acre farm?
Mr. Howard, I don't want to ask you to repeat the question.
I thank you for that.
But I'm afraid, old boy, I'll have to.
I see. How many acres in a 50-acre farm?
Where is the farm, Mr. Howard?
I don't know.
Who owns it?
I don't know.
What kind of a farm is it?
I don't know.
That's what I like. Short, stupid answers.
All right. Well, this is neither here nor there.
No? Well, where is it?
Somebody lose something?
Yeah, Miss McNaughton lost his head.
Well, don't worry. He looks better without it.
All right, let's get on here. Mr. Sheldon, your Uncle Webfoot has a farm,
Oh,
hasn't he?
sure. In the beginning of the summer, he bought a pig for $30.
Yeah.
Last week, he sold it. How much do you think he made on it?
Well, what did he sell it for?
It smelled bad around the house.
Ah, please.
I was out on the farm last weekend. I saw a bunch of chicks just being hatched.
Oh, isn't it wonderful, Miss McConnell, the way those little chicks get out of their shells?
It's more wonderful how they get in them.
Really? When you get back to the question, how many acres in a 50-acre farm? You say your uncle has a farm, Mr. Sheldon.
Yeah, I was up there last week, and while I was up there, he sent his milking machine back to the people he bought it from.
He's not going to use the milking machine anymore?
No, he decided to take things in his own hands.
He must be a jerk. Let's get on here.
You know, speaking about farms, I have a beautiful dog up on my farm. He's a lap dog.
What breed of dog is he?
He's a St. Bernard.
A St. Bernard, a lap dog?
Rather. I sit on his lap all the time.
Ah, please.
His name is Joey.
Never mind. Miss McNaughton, why don't you rent yourself a padded cell?
I'd love to, Mr. Howard. When is your lease up?
All right. Thank you. Will you get back to the question, how many acres in a 50-acre farm? Mr. McNaughton.
Yes.
You said you used to live on a farm.
I certainly did, Mr. Howard. It belongs to my brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law?
And the last time I was up there, he told me he'd crossed a chicken with a parrot.
He crossed a chicken with a parrot?
Yes. Now when the chicken lays an egg, she hollers, come and get it.
Very amusing.
The only thing I didn't like about a farm was getting up so early. Everyone had to get up early to do their chores.
What's yours?
I'll have a short beer. What's yours?
Please. What's yours? Gets worse. Well, you get back to the question.
You know, I remember distinctly up on this farm we had a cow that always had the hiccups.
Well, couldn't you stop it?
Well, we didn't even try, old boy. You see, every time it would hiccup, it would churn its own butter.
Don't butter.
You know, my Uncle Webfoot has a lot of cows, and he does all his own milking. He milks 40 cows a day.
That's a lot of cows.
Yeah. You know, when he shakes hands with you now, he shakes one finger at a time.
One finger.
Force of habit.
Force of habit, yes.
Well, me and my old man had a farm once. We had 400 chickens, and they all laid eggs but one.
What was the matter with that one?
Oh, he was the head man.
He was the head man.
He kept the books.
He kept the books, I say.
By the way, did you read about the new medicine they have for cows?
Look, Mr. McNaughton, I'm not interested in any cow medicine.
What kind of medicine, Mr. McNaughton?
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Sheldon, suppose a cow gets his tail cut off.
Yeah.
You see, you just rub some of this medicine on the old stump, and in 3 weeks, the cow has grown another tail.
That's marvelous.
What do you mean it's marvelous? That's nothing at all. My Uncle Webfoot has some stuff up on his farm. If a cow cuts his tail off, you rub it on the old tail, and in 2 weeks, the old tail grows a new cow.
That's all I can take. There's a lot of bull if I ever heard it. Mr. Stark, will you come in here, or rather Thomas, play something while I ring down a few things, will you? And now, at this time, we usually invite a guest from our studio audience to take part in the program. Have we got such a person this evening, Mr. Stark?
Well, we certainly have, Mr. Howard, a gentleman, and his name is Mr. Edward Doyle.
Well, that's swell. How do you do, Mr. Doyle? It's nice to have you with us. How are you feeling this evening?
Very well, thank you.
We're very glad to hear that. Where are you from, would you care to tell us?
Waterbury, Connecticut.
Oh, Waterbury, Connecticut. Well, that's
Waterbury, Connecticut?
Waterbury, Connecticut.
Well, put a clam in my mouth and call me Chowderhead.
I see.
I used to work in that town.
You did. You're a jerk.
No, I was a baseball umpire on a chicken farm.
You were a baseball umpire on a chicken farm?
I called the fouls.
You call All right, will you stop it? I'm real sorry for the interruptions, Mr. Doyle. I should warn you, pay no attention to what you hear on this program. Tell me something now. How do you happen to be in New York this evening?
Oh, on a vacation?
Oh, on a vacation. My
Yes, sir.
goodness. All our out-of-towners lately seem to be going on vacations. They all come to New York. New York is getting to be a great vacation center. Are you having a nice time?
Very nice, thank you.
Good. You say you were from Waterbury.
Waterbury?
They make a lot of watches up there, don't they?
That's right.
Yeah, I thought that was the watch city. Are you married, Mr. Doyle?
Oh, yes.
What did he say?
He said he was married.
He's married, dear.
Well, that's that.
All right.
Anybody know how the Dodgers made out today?
All right, play it.
And they lost.
You're not interested because the gentleman is married, are you?
No.
Is your wife with you, Mr. Doyle?
Yes, she is, in the audience.
She's in the audience. Well, we're glad to have her with us, too.
Oh, indeed
Thank
we
you.
are, Mr. Doyle. Yes, how do you do? Greetings.
How do you
Greetings
do?
from Waterbury, yes.
I
You know,
see.
last week I was invited down to Atlantic City to judge a beauty contest.
You were.
Did you take your wife with you?
Miss McConnell, you never take a ham sandwich to a banquet.
Tell me, Mr. Doyle, how long have you been married?
40 years.
40 years. Well, good for you. You don't look any the worse of 40 years wear and tear. Any family?
No.
No family.
No family.
Oh, well, I see. Well, you didn't have much trouble from that respect then, did you?
No.
All by yourself. Well, I tell you, a family is nice to have, but they are really a lot of care and a lot of worryment. How long have you, since you've been in New York? Have you been here many times before?
Oh, mostly every year.
Oh, every
5 or
year.
6 times.
5 or 6 times. Then you know the town quite well.
Oh, yes.
What does your wife do? Does she have any outside interests, or does she just tend to the house?
Tend to the house.
Well, that's a full-part job, I'm sure. Well, it's been very nice to having you with us here,
Yeah,
Mr.
it sure has.
Yeah.
Well, what's your first name, honey?
Eddie.
Ed?
Eddie.
Eddie. Oh, that's a nice name, isn't it?
Eddie.
Yes, he's a charming gentleman, don't you think? He's so dignified and nice and everything.
All right.
He's
Go ahead. I like your ad-libbing.
Oh, well, you can just call me taxi cab.
Yeah.
I'll pick you up.
Yeah, you will. Yes, Your back seat needs upholstering, Miss McConnell. Before you go... Sit down. You'll fall off there, and then we'll never get you back there. Keep seated, please. We have a hard enough time getting you up there every night, Miss McConnell, so don't fall off. Before you go, Mr. Doyle, would you reach into the dunce cap that Mr. Stark is holding and pick out a question for us if you don't mind? And when you get one, would you be good enough to read it right into our microphone, please?
What kind of seasoning is kept in a salt cellar?
Thank you. What kind of seasoning is kept in a salt cellar?
Did you say something about salt, Mr. Howard?
Yes, I did.
Did you know I used to sell salt?
Really?
Yeah.
I was a salt cellar. Shake.
Here, will you please stop these corny gags? Cut out, will you? At least let us try and stay on the air till this series is over. Do you use salt at home, Miss McConnell?
Certainly I use salt. Everybody uses salt.
I see.
Only yesterday I had a stew on the stove.
Yeah.
What was your old man doing on the stove?
I do.
He was singing Home on the Range.
Yeah.
Smarty.
Okay. Please, Miss McConnell, you said you use salt.
I know I did. I'm not ashamed of it.
I see.
I've nothing to hide in my life. I certainly am.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I've always been a lady.
Okay.
I was
All right,
anybody
please.
in the whole world.
All I asked you, will you shut up? I only asked you if you use salt, that's all.
Certainly I use it.
All right, you use salt.
Yeah.
What do you keep it in?
I keep it in the pantry.
I know you keep it in the pantry, but don't you keep it in a shaker, a cellar, a salt cellar?
Certainly not. My pantry's not in the cellar.
Your pantry's not.
Besides, the cellar is no place to keep salt.
I see.
It's too damp.
All right.
Well, I'll tell you something. I have ants in my pantry.
Nobody asked you, Mr. McNaught. Nobody asked you.
I merely said I had ants in my pantry.
You have bats in your belfry, too, Mr. McNaught. Mr. Shell, let me ask you something.
All right, go ahead, but I'm warning you. I'm going to use my own answers.
I expect that. Do you like tomatoes?
Oh, I love tomatoes.
I see.
I don't know of anything I like better than tomatoes.
Okay.
Unless it's more tomatoes.
I see.
Do you like tomatoes, Mr. McNaughton?
I should, old boy. I married one.
Wait a minute. Please. Mr. Sheldon, when you're eating tomatoes, what do you shake on them?
Pepper. I love pepper on my tomatoes.
I see. Pepper.
You know, we use pepper at our house, you know. But we use it in the summer to catch flies.
You use pepper to catch flies?
Yes.
What kind of pepper?
Fly pepper? Oh, I'm incorrigible
It's
tonight.
just terrible,
I'm very
folks.
naughty. Yes.
Never mind. Mr. McNaughton, if you had another brain, you'd have one. Mr. Sheldon, you said you shake pepper on your tomatoes.
That's right.
What do you use to shake the pepper on the tomatoes with?
My hand, my right hand.
I know that, but what's in your right hand?
The pepper.
You mean you take a handful of pepper and throw it at the tomatoes?
Well, you don't think I'd take a handful of tomatoes and throw it at the pepper?
Mr. Sheldon, please. Isn't this pepper in some sort of a dish or a bottle?
Oh, sure, it's in a shaker, a pepper shaker.
Now we're getting someplace.
Oh.
Now, beside the pepper shaker, there's another little bottle.
Uh-huh.
What's in that?
Olive oil.
You would say olive oil.
Well, what do you want me to say? Do you want me to tell a lie?
No.
Do you want me to poison myself?
I wish you'd strangle yourself.
There's no future in that, Mr. Howard.
All right. Mr. Sheldon, isn't there any salt on the table?
Oh, sure, but I never use it.
You never use salt?
No, I can't get it out of those little holes in the top of the bottle.
I see. What do you call that little bottle?
Mr. Adam, I told you what I call that little bottle, we'd be thrown off the air.
Please, and Jerry Lester would say, let's forget the whole dirty mess. Mr. Stark, will you step in here and give our guest $24.80 for helping us out? And thank you, Mr. Doyle, for being with us.
Indeed, I will, Mr. Howard. Thank you, Mr. Doyle. Good luck to you, sir, and to Waterbury, Connecticut.
All right. And now, while we get away from the strain of these terrible gags, let's sit back and listen to our Townmen Quartet while they sing a special arrangement of Cool Water.
All day I face the barren waste without the taste of water. Cool water, water. Old Dan and I with throats burnt dry and souls that cry. listen to him, Dan. He's a devil, not a man, and he spreads the burning sand with water. Water. Dan, can you see that big green tree where the water's running free and it's waiting there for me and you? Water. Dan's feet are sore, he's yearning for just one thing more than water. Like me, I guess he'd like to rest where there's no quest for water. Water. Cool water. Clear water. Water. Keep him moving, Dan. Don't you listen to him, Dan. He's a devil, not a man, and he spreads the burning sand with water. Water. Dan, can you see that big green tree where the water's running free and it's waiting there for me and you? Water, 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 water. Don't you listen to him, Dan? He's a devil, not a man. Water, and he spreads the burning sand with water. Water, water, clean water.
Thank you, fellas. That was fine. And now, Mr. Stark, how about another guest?
Well, we have a very charming lady, Mr. Howard. I know you'll be happy to meet her. Her name is Mrs. George Sackett, Jr.
Well, that's very nice. We're very glad to have you with us, Mrs. Sackett. How are you this afternoon, or this
Fine, thank
evening,
you.
rather? I'm a little late. Don't mind me. How are you feeling?
Fine, thank you.
Well, we're very glad to hear that. Where are you from, would you care to tell us?
New Hyde Park, Long Island.
New Hyde Park, Long Island. I see. You're not nervous, are you?
A little.
Well, don't be nervous. There's nothing to be nervous about. We have the
course there's
experts
nothing to
all
be-
strapped in their chairs. You don't have to be nervous, sir.
Nothing to be nervous about.
Not at all. We've just fed them, so there's nothing to be nervous about, I'm sure.
Come over here and sit by me, Mrs. Sackett.
Please, Mr. McNaughton. Tell me something, Mr. McNaughton. When did you first start liking every girl you see?
When I found out they weren't boys.
I see. Don't let them upset you, Miss, what is it? Oh, Sackett. Miss Sackett, I see. Oh, Mrs. Sackett.
That's right.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah,
Mrs.
I see.
Sackett.
I'm making the young lady
Junior,
single all of
Joe.
a sudden. Junior. I see. Thank you,
Hey, you
Mrs.
know, I had a date with a lovely girl last night, Mr. Howard.
Yeah.
That reminds me of her a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I took her to dinner.
You did?
After dinner, I took her to the theater.
Uh-huh.
After the theater, I took her to the Stork Club.
Uh-huh.
And after the Stork Club, I called a taxi cab and I took her home.
You did.
Kiss her good night.
No, I thought I did enough for
Oh,
her.
yeah, you did. You've done very good. Tell me, Mrs. Sackett, what do you work at? Or do you work or you just stay home? What do you
I'm
work
a homemaker.
You what?
Homemaker.
Oh, a homemaker. A housewife.
That's
Well,
right.
that's
You
plenty
make
of work.
homes? That's nice. I mean, you build them?
No, please, Mr. Norton. She's a housewife, to make it more
He
plain.
makes them and he wrecks them.
I see. Are you married? Then you are married, Mrs. I see that.
Yeah. I thought she was married. You see, I think.
You thought she was
I thought
married?
she looked worried.
Huh?
I thought she looked worried.
Oh, is that what makes you think she was married?
Yeah,
Because she looks
naturally.
worried? Please, don't figure everybody like yourself. There's lots of people who have a very, very happy marriage life. They're not always fighting with their old man like you are, Miss McCarthy.
Oh, hasn't everybody got an old man like
All
I got?
right. Well, let's get on here. When are you going to get married, Mr. Sheldon?
Oh, I've got lots of time. Women are a dime a dozen.
Women are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've been buying jelly beans.
Will you bozo stop interrupting? I might ask you another thing, Mrs. Sackett. Have you heard the program before?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you listened to it down home.
That's
I
right.
see. Well, you have a lot of courage, I must say.
Speaking about dates, Mr. Howard, I had a blind date the other night. What a girl.
You did?
What a girl. She had 3 teeth missing, a bald spot on the back of her head, and a mustache.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Howard, in spite of all that, she didn't appeal to me.
Ah, please, that's terrible. I'm not going to keep you being bored any longer, Mrs. Sackett, but before you go, I'd love to have you reach into the cap that Mr. Stark has and pick out a question for us. When you get the question, would you kindly read it right into our microphone, please?
Where in Massachusetts was the Boston Tea Party?
Thank you. Did you hear the question? Where in Massachusetts was the Boston Tea Party?
Who's giving the party, Mr. Howard?
Mr. McNaughton, you're an idiot.
Mr. Howard, I don't think you know what you're saying.
You're not only an idiot, you're an imbecile.
Now you're talking.
All right. Miss McConnell, do you know anything about the Boston Tea Party?
She ordered. She brought the lemons.
She brought... Do you know anything about the Boston Tea Party, Miss McConnell?
No, Mr. Howard, I wasn't invited.
You wasn't invited, I see.
And I never go to parties unless I'm invited.
All right, thank you.
That's one thing about me. I know my place.
Okay.
I know just what's what.
All right, you should have stayed in your place. Let's get on here. Mr. Sheldon, do you know where in Massachusetts was the Boston Tea Party?
Sure I know.
Well, why didn't you say so?
But you didn't ask me.
Well, what town is it?
Springfield.
Springfield. How do you arrive at Springfield?
You get on the train at Grand Central, sit down to the conductor hollers, Springfield.
All right, thank you.
Now there's another way.
I don't want to hear the other way. Mr. Sheldon, why must you act like a moron?
Who's acting?
Who's acting? I see what's happening. Well, let's get back to the question. It's about a city in Massachusetts.
You know, Mr. Howard, there's a town in Massachusetts named after you.
Town in Massachusetts named after me?
Yep.
What's the name of it?
Marblehead.
Ah, that was good, Miss McConnell. That was good.
I'm glad you
That ought
enjoyed
to put the old buzzard in his place.
Yeah. There's a town in Maine named after you, Miss McConnell.
There's a town in Maine named after Miss McConnell. What is
That's
it?
right.
What is it?
Moosehead. Let's get back. Where in Massachusetts was the Boston Tea Party?
I love tea. I sure enjoy my cup of tea.
Well, you don't have to keep carrying the bags under your eyes all the time.
I was at a tea party down in Long Island last week.
Yeah?
We drank tea out of doors.
You drank tea out of doors? Oh, my word, in England they drink it out of cups.
Very
Will you join me in a cup of tea, Mr. McNaughton?
Join you in a cup of tea?
Yeah.
Oh, do you think we'll have room? I mean, besides, I don't like tea.
Why don't you like tea?
The tea bags get stuck in my throat.
That's terrific. What are you laughing at, Mr. McNaughton?
Oh, Marblehead.
Marblehead. Let's get on with the question.
You know, I have a nice dress I wear to tease.
To tease who?
Never mind.
Well, I'll never forget the party I attended the last time I was in England. I was at Buckingham Palace.
You were at Buckingham Palace.
Oh, what a ritzy affair.
Yeah.
When Lord Brentwood arrived, the page said, "Your Lordship." And when Lady Kentworth entered, the page said, "Your Ladyship."
What'd the page say when you entered?
Your battleship. Will you please try and answer the question? Answer the question, please, before I get in a tantrum.
What does he mean, tantrum?
Oh, tantrum that's a bicycle for two people.
Now, that's tandem.
Oh, no, I beg to differ, Mr. Howard. A tandem is when people talk about nothing in particular.
No, that's random. Talking at random.
What are you talking about? Random is what kidnappers ask for.
That's ransom.
No. A ransom is what people ride in through Central Park.
Please, Mr. McNaughton, that's handsome. An old-fashioned vehicle with long, skinny shafts, bulky shape, and a broad seat in the back.
Now we're back to Miss McConnell again.
All right, that brings us up to you, Mr. Stark. Will you step in here and give our charming guest $25.20 for helping us out, and thank you, Mr. Sackett, for being